Why is it that you can study a new subject for like 6 months, but the second you are put on the spot, your brain just entirely deletes your vocabulary?
Oh, it is the worst feeling. Just a total mental wipe.
Right. Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a transcript from an English learning program called Fluency English.
Yeah, and specifically, we're exploring an entry titled Navigating the Airport with Confidence.
Exactly. It features this teacher named David and a learner named Emma. And our mission today is to unpack the linguistic and psychological toolkit you need to confidently navigate a really high-stress, fast-paced environment, like an international airport.
Which is, not an easy place to be.
No, definitely not. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because, while this source is technically geared toward non-native English learners, the core lessons here, the stuff David and Emma discuss about communication under pressure, it really applies to anyone facing, like, an intimidating new situation.
Oh, absolutely. And, the setting they chose for this lesson, it is no accident.
How so?
Well, there is a very specific feeling you get when you step through the sliding glass doors of a major international airport. It's an immediate sensory shift.
Oh, I totally know what you mean.
Right. The ceiling is suddenly like 3 stories high, the fluorescent lights are buzzing, and there's this underlying hum of thousands of people moving with intense, anxious purpose.
It's pure chaos.
It is. It's an environment built entirely around logistics and unforgiving deadlines, which naturally just breeds a kind of collective baseline stress. Like everything is moving, and it is moving incredibly fast.
Yeah, even if you are a seasoned traveler, just finding your way to the right terminal can completely spike your heart rate.
Exactly.
So imagine stepping through those doors, absorbing all of that atmospheric pressure, and realizing you have to navigate the entire maze in a language you are just barely learning.
The cognitive load of that scenario is just immense. You aren't just processing spatial awareness or, where to walk. You are actively processing a foreign phonetic system in real time. So before we can even look at the solutions David offers Emma in the transcript, we really must establish the specific problem she's facing.
Well, Emma actually points out exactly what triggers her anxieties in this environment. She highlights the sheer volume of people just constantly moving around her.
Crowds are a huge factor.
And she also mentions the loud, overlapping intercom announcements. The ones that echo through the halls and make it basically impossible to isolate individual words.
Oh yeah, even native speakers struggle with those.
Exactly. And most importantly, she expresses this overwhelming perception that absolutely everyone around her is speaking at an impossibly rapid pace.
And this combination of triggers leads to what we could call the airport blankout phenomenon.
The airport blankout, I like that.
Yeah, David, the teacher in the source material, he articulates this core conflict beautifully. He tells Emma that a language learner can sit comfortably at home, successfully watch English videos, and memorize these extensive vocabulary lists in a totally calm environment. Right. But the exact moment an airport employee actually speaks to them directly, their mind suddenly goes entirely blank. Every single word they studied simply evaporates.
I think anyone listening can relate to that feeling of your mind wiping itself clean. It reminds me, honestly, of playing a really complex video game.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Like, you can be in the tutorial mode, safely sitting on your couch in your living room, and you know all the correct button combinations perfectly.
Oh, wow, totally.
You've practiced the moves 100 times without a single mistake. But the second the high-stakes boss fight begins, the music changes, the screen flashes red, the pressure is suddenly very real, your brain just shuts down.
You just panic.
Exactly. You end up mashing the controller buttons randomly because the sudden stress response has completely overridden all that muscle memory.
That is a perfect analogy, because the mechanics behind that boss fight panic are identical to Emma's airport anxiety. In a calm environment, your brain has the luxury of bandwidth. It can access higher-level cognitive functions, which includes recalling secondary language vocabulary from your prefrontal cortex. But when you introduce the intense sensory input of the airport, the crowds, the noise, the fear of missing a flight, your brain interprets that as a literal threat.
Like actual physical danger.
Exactly. The amygdala activates the fight or flight response. Cortisol just floods your system, and it physically restricts access to those complex memory centers to prioritize immediate survival.
Wow.
So the blank mind David describes, it isn't a failure of Emma's studying habits at all. It is a physiological block caused by stress hormones.
Which is incredibly frustrating when you just, trying to hand over your passport.
Seriously.
But because the brain is biologically prone to freezing like this in high-stress environments, the source material actually has to tackle the problem structurally. David does this by providing Emma with predictable, preloaded scripts for the most common checkpoints.
Right. If you know your prefrontal cortex might shut down, you just cannot rely on spontaneous conversation. You have to bypass that active processing by relying on a script.
Makes sense.
David walks Emma through highly structured scenarios, so she basically has a mental rehearsal completed before she ever arrives at those sliding glass doors.
Yeah. They tackle the check-in counter first. Emma is prepping for her first international flight, traveling to London.
Exciting.
Right. And David acts as the airline agent and asks about her luggage. She practices this very specific line: I have one suitcase and one backpack.
Very clear.
Then David asks if she wants a window seat or an aisle seat, and she selects a window seat. It is a very rigid transactional exchange.
Yes.
And they do the exact same thing for the airplane conversation later in the transcript. The flight attendant asks what she wants to drink, she requests water, and then follows up by asking for coffee. She also uses that moment to explicitly confirm her preference for the window seat.
And, the rigid nature of those exchanges is entirely by design. Check-in counters and drink services, they're predictable bottlenecks.
True.
The questions agents ask in these spaces rarely deviate from standard protocols. So, by scripting the interaction, preloading phrases like, I have one suitcase, or I'd like a window seat, Emma is eliminating the need to translate her thoughts in real time.
She doesn't have to think about grammar.
Exactly. She is moving the cognitive task from active problem solving to passive recall.
I do have to push back on this approach a little bit, though.
Okay.
Like, if a learner is just memorizing rigid lines like, I have one suitcase, what happens when the ticket agent goes off script?
That is the big question.
Right. What if the agent asks a complicated multi-part question about, say, whether she packed lithium batteries or liquids in her backpack? Doesn't the script actually set the learner up for a harder crash because the reality of the conversation didn't match the rehearsal?
That is a very valid point. And a script is really only the first line of defense. Relying solely on memorization does leave a learner vulnerable to the unexpected. But the source material actually anticipates this exact failure point.
Oh, really?
Yes. David doesn't stop at teaching transactional scripts. He introduces a robust contingency plan. He teaches Emma how to explicitly navigate those inevitable moments when the script falls apart.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the source shifts from teaching Emma how to answer questions to teaching her how to control the flow of the conversation itself.
Exactly.
David introduces what are essentially emergency parachute phrases.
Yeah, and these phrases are designed to handle the exact situation you just described with the lithium batteries. David teaches Emma 4 specific sentences. First, could you repeat that, please?
Okay.
Second, please speak slowly. Third, I didn't understand. And fourth, can you help me?
See, rather than freezing when the conversation derails, these phrases act like a pressure release valve in a steam pipe.
That's a great way to look at it.
You don't need to understand every single word the gate agent says about hazardous materials. You just need to know how to admit you are lost, which instantly depressurizes the social expectation.
Right.
You open the valve, let the steam out, and slow the conversation down to a manageable speed.
And what's fascinating here is how these specific phrases fundamentally shift the power dynamic of the interaction.
How so?
Well, by giving a learner explicit permission to say, I didn't understand, David relieves the immense pressure of having to perform perfectly. It requires a significant amount of vulnerability to admit you are lost, of course.
Definitely.
But practically, it forces the native speaker to adjust their behavior. The airline agent must now accommodate the learner's pace.
We actually see this applied in the source when they practice finding the gate. Emma asks the foundational question, where is gate 15?
Right.
And David then asks her what she will do when the employee actually gives her the directions. Emma says she will listen carefully and ask questions if necessary.
If necessary.
That if necessary part is so crucial. It implies she is ready to deploy those parachute phrases. If the directions are too fast, she will pull the cord and say, please speak slowly.
Exactly. And alongside these parachute phrases, the source provides a foundational scaffolding of core vocabulary. If you can use a phrase to slow the speaker down, you only really need to catch a few key anchor nouns to grasp the context of the situation.
Just the main ideas.
Right. David lists 10 core words for the airport. Are you ready?
Let's hear them.
Passport, boarding pass, luggage, gate, flight, window seat, aisle seat, security check, departure, and arrival.
I mean, those 10 words are the structural pillars of the entire travel experience.
They really are.
If a security agent is speaking to you rapidly and you only catch the words security check and luggage, well, even if you missed all the verbs and adjectives in between, you generally know what is required of you. You can infer the rest.
And catching those anchor nouns is often enough to survive the interaction. However, having a list of core vocabulary and even having a pressure release valve like "I didn't understand" is completely useless if the fear of looking foolish prevents the learner from actually opening their mouth to speak.
Yeah, that fear is definitely the biggest hurdle. And the transcript makes a very intentional pivot halfway through to address exactly that. The conversation moves away from the raw mechanics of the English language and focuses entirely on a vital mindset shift.
It's a huge shift.
David actually transitions from being a traditional language instructor to acting way more like a motivational coach for Emma.
He really does. Emma admits she worries heavily about making mistakes, which is, a universal anxiety for adult learners.
Oh, for sure.
Adults have established egos and a deep-seated desire to appear competent. They don't want to look silly.
Yeah.
But David attacks this perfectionism directly. He tells her, "You do not need perfect English, you only need practice."
That is so freeing.
Right. He frames every mistake not as a failure, but as a necessary step in the process. He says every mistake teaches you something, every sentence makes you stronger, and every day brings you closer to fluency.
He even points out that native speakers make grammatical mistakes all the time.
All the time.
He stresses that the ultimate goal is communication, not perfection. So what does this all mean? Are we saying that the pursuit of grammatical perfection is actually the enemy of real-world communication?
In high-stress environments, it absolutely is the enemy. As we discussed earlier with the neuroscience of the blank mind, fear is the trigger that floods the brain with cortisol.
Right, the boss fight panic.
Exactly. If you are hyper-focused on conjugating a verb perfectly before you dare to speak, your cognitive load is maxed out by anxiety. Your brain senses the threat of social embarrassment, and you freeze.
You are holding yourself to an impossible standard.
But if your only goal is to get a concept across, even if it's messy, even if the syntax is broken, the fear diminishes, the pressure is off. By allowing yourself to be imperfect, you ironically free up the mental bandwidth you need to actually remember the vocabulary you studied. David is dismantling the traditional educational model where mistakes are penalized with bad grades.
And replacing it with what?
With a real-world model where mistakes are simply data points showing you the current boundary of your understanding.
It's basically the difference between trying to perform a flawless Olympic gymnastics routine on a balance beam versus just trying to jump over a muddy puddle without getting your shoes wet.
I love that.
One requires absolute technical perfection to avoid a penalty, and the other just requires getting to the other side however you can. David wants Emma to realize she is just jumping over puddles. She just needs to get to the other side of the conversation.
Communication over perfection is a really powerful philosophy. But, understanding this concept intellectually while reading a transcript is very different from executing it physically when you are standing in front of an impatient customs officer who is tapping their foot.
Very true.
A learner must bridge the gap between knowing they shouldn't panic and physically preventing their nervous system from panicking.
So how does David bridge that gap? Because he doesn't just leave Emma with a motivational speech, he gives her a daily challenge to turn that philosophy into physical reality.
Yes, the daily challenge.
He instructs her to say 5 specific sentences out loud 3 times every single day.
And the sentences he selects for this daily repetition cover the most critical interactions she will face. First, I have my passport.
Okay.
Second, where is my gate? Third, would you repeat that? Fourth, please speak slowly. And fifth, thank you very much.
I really love this approach because it emphasizes that language isn't just an intellectual exercise, it is a physical action. This daily challenge is literally a linguistic physical workout.
It is.
It's not about reciting complex poetry to sound sophisticated. When you say those 5 sentences out loud, 3 times a day, your mouth, your tongue, and your vocal cords get physically used to forming those specific phonetic sounds. You are building muscle memory. So that when the panic sets in at the airport, the physical act of vibrating your vocal cords to say those specific words has become an automatic reflex.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this daily repetition is the mechanism for transforming nervous energy into confident communication.
Right.
In neuroscience, this process relies on neuromuscular facilitation. By repeatedly firing the same neural pathways in a low-stress environment like Emma's living room, she is lowering the cognitive threshold required to fire those pathways in a high-stress environment.
That makes perfect sense.
Confidence, in this context, isn't the absence of fear. It is the trust in your own physical ability to deploy your tools despite the fear. Saying, "Please speak slowly," out loud every day makes the phrase a trusted, deeply ingrained reflex.
You drill the basics until they become pure instinct. Looking at this whole toolkit David provides for Emma, it is a remarkably comprehensive strategy.
It really covers all the bases.
We start with anticipating the blank out phenomenon, understanding the biology behind it so you aren't surprised when your brain stalls. We have the strategy of preloading scripts to bypass active processing at predictable bottlenecks like the checking counter.
Right.
We have the emergency parachute phrases to open the pressure valve and slow down the pace when things go wrong. We have the critical mindset shift, valuing raw communication over grammatical perfection. And finally, we have the mechanism for building physical reflexes through daily out-loud repetition.
It addresses the logistics of travel, the physical mechanics of speaking a language, and most importantly, the psychology of adult learning.
And for you listening, whether you are actually learning a foreign language, or maybe you are starting a daunting new job in a corporate culture that uses its own confusing acronyms.
Oh, corporate jargon is definitely its own language.
For sure. Or even if you are just navigating any complex bureaucratic system where you feel like an absolute outsider, this toolkit is universal. Imagine sitting in a high-stakes corporate meeting when someone drops a piece of jargon you don't know. Your heart rate spikes, your brain blanks out. But if you have prepared scripts for your introduction, if you are willing to deploy a parachute phrase like, "Can you clarify that term for me?" And if you focus on communicating rather than appearing flawless, these are the fundamental strategies for surviving and thriving when you feel completely out of your element.
It all comes down to granting yourself the grace to be a beginner. The source material focuses heavily on the grace we must extend to ourselves when learning a foreign language. David insists that fluency is fundamentally about having the courage to communicate rather than executing flawless grammar.
It is a very forgiving standard.
It is, but consider this. Imagine if we applied that exact same forgiving standard to our native languages.
Oh, wow.
How might extending that communication-first mindset change the way we judge and connect with each other every single day? If we stopped evaluating the people around us based on their vocabulary, their perfect phrasing, or their public speaking skills,
Right.
and simply focused on honoring their genuine effort to be understood, we might find our daily interactions far less stressful and far more human.
That is a brilliant thought to leave on. The next time you walk through those sliding glass doors of an airport or step into a new boardroom and that wave of sensory overload hits you, remember that everyone in that building is just trying to get to the other side of the puddle. And sometimes, the bravest and most effective thing you can say in any language is simply, "Can you help me?"